Okay, so I just wanted to go over a little project I've been doing. So I'm building a Cummins for my truck and I need a way to work on it. So I devised a plan to build an adapter for my engine stand. And so what I came up with was this cardboard template. I measured out all my bolt holes and laid everything out on some 3/4 inch plate. You can see here I've drilled my holes, so the engine will be supported with 5 12mm bolts. And then this hole here is obviously for the pipe here. It's warm, that's why I'm not touching it. It's been super fun. It's a good little fab project to get back into fabricating after not doing it for so long. So I took my hole pattern, measured it out, traced it out onto a piece of steel, cut out my steel, and here I am. So my engine stand needs a pipe that is a 2 7/8 inch outside diameter, and that's most commonly found, or at least around here where I am, in fence piping. So what I got here is a piece of that fence piping that's skid 20 or skid 40. I don't remember the schedules, but it's basically about a 1/4 inch, about 3/16 thick of a wall. And what I've done is I've taken a piece of 2 inch of the same stuff and slid it inside and welded up the gap. I put a nice chamfer on the edge of the 2 inch pipe. So that's filled up on both sides. This is galvanized stuff. So always wear your respirator while you're working on this. I was, and I had my bay door open and whatnot. You know, zinc poisoning is nothing to laugh at. It's definitely no fun being sick, but anyway, I welded each end up, and I also drilled and put some plug welds in the middle, just to say I did. And now I have to open up this hole a little bit more. It'll sit like so, about halfway through, and that will allow us to put a nice big weld on the inside, and then a nice big T-joint on the outside. So we'll have a nice amount of weld holding these two pieces together. The only thing left for me to do, well, there's two things. I have to drill the holes in this pipe for the indexing pin that indexes the engine at different angles. So I'll lay those out, and I'll lay out the 2 holes on the back here for my T-handle that goes through. So that part will be next, and then we'll get back together and we'll weld these 2 pieces, and then my Cummins will be ready to sit on the stand. I already tested this piece out. It fits on the motor. I've used, so originally it bolts to where your motor mount goes. There's 6 holes on the side of the Cummins for the different engine mount options that those engines came with. So I'm using 3 of the Dodge ones and 2 of the alternative ones. So we got a total of 5 12mm bolts. I only got 4 here because that's just all I have out. But when I go to actually bolt it up, it'll sit on there nice with 5. And these are 12mm by 50mm. 12 by 40, and that bolts a 19mm plate to the side of a Cummins. In the block are M12 by 1.75, and I've got 5, well, soon to be 5 M12 by 1.75 by 40mm long bolts to bolt this up. Let's get this sitting inside there. So we'll take some material off of here, and then it should slide through. So I'm not going to tack it up, but just yet. I'll wait until after my holes are drilled in the pipe, but there you can see how it's going to sit, and there'll be ample amount for weld down in here. Obviously we still have to make sure this plate sits 90 to this pipe. We can just tap that around and check it. So you can see right there, we've got some gaps. on the bottom there, on the top there, so that tells us we're not 90. And when you're working with pipe, you're working with plate wrapped in a circle. So there's no need to really treat it much differently. Well, it's still a little warm, but I can kind of touch it with my hand now. But I would check this in 3 different spots around the plate. I'm just giving a brief rundown now before I actually tack it, because like I said, I like to drill those holes. But we check it in 3 spots about 120 degrees apart, and then we'd know that our pipe is in there straight, and then we would tack it. So now we'll lay out our holes, and we can kind of use this. So we know that our pipe is 2 7/8. So if we take 2 7/8 and divide it by 2 7/16 and 1 7/16 here, and mark out this one. It goes straight across our pipe. That is a line down the center of the pipe. And I'm actually going to do that 4 more times. So now I need to know the measurement of this hole on the end. 13/16 in diameter. Half of 13/16 is 13/32. Make a mark at 13/32. We now know. So industry standard here in Canada is that a hole cannot be within half its diameter, or a radius, towards an edge. So this is where the start of our hole begins. So now from there we'll come in another 13/32, which we could have just counted out as 13/16, but we didn't, because I wanted to show that that was standard. But we come in essentially 13/16, and we'll punch our hole there. And we'll do that on not all 4 lines, but 2 lines. Well, more specifically 2 that are 180 degrees apart from each other. So 13/32, but in order to give us a little bit of wiggle room, we're going to drill to 7/8. That gives us a 1/16 of a tolerance on our hole. 1/16 of an inch tolerance on our hole. I'm laying this all out now, and I'm putting notes on here because I'm coming back to it later. So here is essentially what we're copying. So if we measure the diameter of this hole, it also comes out to even more than 7/8 on the factory one. So now we have to lay out 8 holes. Sorry, 1 7/16 on that. Excuse me. Essentially what we're going to do now is figure out the placement of the cross, and that, or the line that crosses through all those will be the center point for where we want to drill our hole. And to get that measurement, we're going to compare between the original here. So I'm a little longer with my pipe, and I think that's going to work out in our favor. Because if we keep this measurement from the center of this hole to the edge on this one, we're going to have a little bit left over sticking out on this side, which is going to push the Cummins a little bit away from the stand. So we're going to use that. It's just under 7 5/8, but just to make it simple, I'm going to do 7 5/8. Like I said, I have a bit of wiggle room here, so I don't think it matters. So 7 5/8. Okay, so we now have all our holes laid out. All it's left to do now is drill them. Alrighty, so camera died, but I got in here with the 7/8 bit and I drilled out our holes. So now our bar goes across. So I've got it in here, just tacked to the plate And you know, I filled up some of the gaps there so I can go over it. This is 3/4 inch thick steel, so we want to hit that with a torch to preheat it before we weld anything. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to try and get some shots of me welding too, but I don't know how it's going to work on the phone, but let's try it. We're going to make sure we get ample preheat on here. And yes, I'll be here a while. So I might have some gas in the big torch. I think it's also worth mentioning that I've wiped off my table too. Okay, so the last time you saw this, I was welding it up with a little 110 flux core, and I didn't like it. It wasn't working. It's just too small of a welder for something this size. Way too small. So what I did was I came in here, I ground it all out. Now it's all nice and clean. There's hardly any of that weld left. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna go in and we're gonna use this. This is my, I believe, 1977 Dayton my 1977 Dayton 225 amp or 230 amp AC stick welder. This thing is old. It's been passed down through 3 generations. And I'm pretty sure when God said, "Let there be light," he struck an arc with this. So that's what we're going to use, along with some 7014. That's all I got here. So we'll make it nice and pretty with the rutile rod, and we'll be good to go. We'll probably do a triple pass in the bottom, and then try and do sort of the same thing on that underneath joint that you can't see right now. I got it clamped to the table to help prevent some warping. So I got it tapped to the table so that I could work on it nicely. This is what we got going on up top. Nicely welded all the way around. Same triple pass technique. And now we're going to test fit it. And let's see if we can get our Cummins up on our stand. So here you can see it in the stand. And there's the Cummins. I was just getting everything rigged up when I realized that my diameter of my pipe wasn't perfect. So you can see that I ground it down some, just to the sander. Sanding pad on my grinder, went around it, reduced the diameter. It sits in there nice now. It wasn't too bad. It was less than a 1/16. It was just enough to cause problems. But we're gonna get the Cummins bolted up to it, and we're gonna get it sitting on the stand here. Okay, there it is on the stand. Bolted up. Now look at that. Oh, it's gonna be mint, man. Can work on this guy. Yeah, see, the pipe is above the center line of the crank, so that should help with spinning it around, especially when the head gets on there. Yeah, super excited. We're gonna start building this for the Chevy. But I guess that about wraps it up here. If you enjoy this type of content, go ahead and give us a like and a subscribe. It helps the channel grow, and we post regularly, so you'll get notified when we post. So, hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.